from our conversation you get a lot of good stuff today and feel inspired and motivated to make some good, healthy changes in your life. And we even talk about some really great things you can do in your life at the very end of this podcast. So make sure you stick around to the end.
Stick around to the end. Yes. I'm Coach Brandon. If you're with us live on Facebook, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. If you are not following us on Facebook in on either of our profiles or at our Contra Costa Fitness page, we appreciate that you are listening to us. Thanks.
But come check us out there.
But yeah, check us out there if you want to be part of the conversation and ask questions. That's a great way to do it. So yeah, what are you waiting for?
Yeah. So we are going to be talking about consistency today. It's something our members ask us about quite a bit, and just random people, if I'm being honest. And I asked you at breakfast the other day what you thought was the most important quality for someone to pursue if they were trying to achieve a health and wellness goal, no matter what it might be. And I remember you said consistency. Shocking.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I remember that. And my that answer frustrates people sometimes. I think.
A little bit.
I think it's frustrating because it gets thrown around so much that it's become kind of a throwaway term. Like, I think a lot of people, it's just become this sort of like, I think when people hear it, they think that they have to, like, consistency means getting to the gym every single day and, sticking to your diet every single day and never screwing up. And that's not what it is.
No.
So I'm glad that we're digging into it a little bit more.
Yeah. And we talk quite a bit about consistency in our talks, these talks quite a bit.
Right.
But I still find a lot of people are struggling with understanding what consistency is. So we're going to break that down today.
And definition.
Yeah, let's get some clarity on consistency and see what that looks like. I did look up the definition of consistency, and they were all terrible.
Yeah.
None of them made any sense at all, and they weren't helpful. There was one that I liked quite a bit, that there's a couple little caveats to it, but the definition was the achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time. And the important piece of that definition for me is the section where it says it doesn't vary greatly over time is important.
Right.
But at a point I really want to make today is that, when you walk away from our talk, I want you to be thinking that you don't have to be perfect to be consistent. That's the most important thing. Consistency is not about perfection. You can be one without the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That definition's adequate. I think the one that you read, and I like what you just said. I think what I'm going to latch onto is the overtime part.
That's important.
Right? Like, I think if we are zoomed in too close and we're just looking at, every day as either a success or a failure, then consistency is like brutal. If we can zoom out a little bit and look at a greater timeline, then consistency is a little more fluid. And what I want everyone to have from this talk as well is the understanding that, like, having ice cream, missing a workout, or skipping the gym or your hike because you had a wedding or whatever, like, you went on vacation, this does not ruin your consistency.
No.
Right? It's good to be inspired to get back into your routine, but you're allowed to do those things.
Yes.
And it's not like the end of the world, and it doesn't mean that you've, like, failed. It doesn't have to be like a great big deal.
It's a really hard concept for a lot of people to wrap their heads around until you get it. And then when you get it, you're like, oh, this makes perfect sense, right? So some things that are important and are really good points to remember is that with consistency, you're looking back over a longer period of time, right? Did your activity vary much over the last 6 months versus the last 6 days, and really examining a longer period of time and seeing how things go over that versus just looking at what happened yesterday. And most weeks, months, were you doing the same things? Were you getting to the gym? Were you eating right the majority of the time? Looking at it from a bigger chunk of time than just yesterday sucked, so I'm not consistent.
Yeah, well, all we can do with yesterday, and even the last 6 months, like looking backwards, right? All we can do is judge, right? And that's not necessarily like a great place. So this is a tough like thing. Like, yeah, we want to zoom out definitely, and like I know we say that kind of a lot, but yeah, if we can look at like, yeah, this, and not looking so much in our past, but where we are now and the future we want. Yeah, this day that I missed today, or this week, yeah, it doesn't feel good right this moment. But if we look at it in terms of a month, if we look at our month in terms of a year,
yeah,
right, and give ourselves a little more wiggle room, right?
Yeah.
One day is not a big deal. A couple days is not a big deal. A week is not a big deal,
right,
if we stretch out our timeline.
And, in the last 2 years that you and I have been working together, I've unfortunately seen a lot of people look at, last week, and this is what I did or didn't do. And they get really frustrated and really defeated because they didn't nail it this week. And, what could I have done last week that would have been better? And really, it's not looking at, one day or 1 week, but it's zooming out and looking at the last month instead. Like, like I said earlier, did you eat and avoid eating things that weren't good for you? Like, were you getting to the gym and like maybe you missed a workout or two, but did you get the activity in that you wanted to most of the time? Not all the time. And even if I look at my habits over like the last 6 months, not every week was perfect. Not every day was perfect. And there was definitely a chunk of time in there where I ate way too much ice cream in a short period of time.
Sure.
But if I'm looking at what my activity looks like, I'm consistently coming to the gym on a regular basis. I'm hitting my goal most weeks. I'm doing the things that I want to be doing most of the time. And it's not important that I'm perfect, because being consistent is just getting those habits and getting those routines down. And that's what really matters.
Yeah, perfect is just ridiculous, right?
Absolutely ridiculous, yes.
I think that I think the other important part is like, what is consistent for you, right? Like, if we're trying to be consistent for what I don't know, we're trying to meet some goal that maybe we joined a challenge, one of the like 60-day challenges or something like that, where you're expected to work out every single day. And if you haven't done that for a long time, that's going to be like hard. Crazy, right? Consistent does not mean like some industry standard, right? Of like this many days at the gym, this many days eating clean, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, like, is it an improvement for you?
Right.
I think that's really important.
Yeah. And I think it's really important too that people have a lot of patience with themselves.
Yeah.
While you're trying to get consistency down, right? So we tell people a lot, like what you were talking about, instead of trying to jump in with both feet, we tell people quite often these bad habits that they're trying to get rid of, they didn't show up overnight.
Right.
I didn't wake up today and I love drinking 3 sodas every single day. They slowly showed up over time, Give yourself some time to get used to the new changes. And again, don't expect to be perfect right away. You're making changes. Small, slow, and steady is what it's all about.
Throw perfect out of your vocabulary.
Yeah, just get rid of it.
Don't ever. The word is, it's thrown around a lot in the fitness world, and it just has no place there. So,
and it's about what you do most of the time, not all the time.
I think it's just, and even then, right? Like we're looking for improvement, right? And so, like, I want to have this dynamic perspective, right? I want my perspective to be dynamic. I hope that makes sense. We want to be able to step back and look at that long view when we think about our habits, right? But we also like thinking about the past and thinking about the future, right? It takes us out of the present, which is the only thing that we have control over, right? So it's just about like, what decision can I make right now to make this, to get closer to what I want?
Yes.
So when we start talking about like getting into action. What can we actually do?
Yeah.
All right.
How do we actually accomplish this, Brandon?
This?
Getting consistency over time. How do we do that?
Yeah. So we can't control time. Right.
No, we can't.
All right. All we can do is what we've got right now, or all we can focus on is what we've got right now. So, in recovery, we talk about like radical acceptance. That's part of this, like accepting a blurry or long view, like instead of having this very specific goal or these specific details, like again, like I have to do, this today. If I miss today, then I'm off my program. Like we can let that go. And that's all right because we have to. So there's no use in like, in being upset over those things. There's no changing it, right? Sometimes life takes us away from other parts of our life. So taking the focus off of the fix and then allows us to actually want to be, if we can stop looking at the mountaintop, then we can focus on the trail and engage with that.
It's right in front of us right now.
Yeah. Well, we want to develop willingness, right? We talk about like, falling in love with fitness. That's what we want for our people, is to like really fall in love with doing and enjoying doing the things that you want to do, right? Like it happens all the time in here. Like I was just talking to somebody at lunch today about how, 6 months ago, they couldn't even imagine, like they hated going to the gym. They hated like, eating clean. And so, but today, right, after coming here for a while and being part of a community and not killing themselves every time they come to the gym.
That's important.
That they can't imagine not doing it, right? They really enjoy it. They found their place. And so, that's the other part of this, is like developing a process that is true to you, that you can love.
Right.
And really be willing to do.
Because if you try to be consistent with something you don't enjoy very much or you don't like, it's very challenging to be consistent.
Well, it's very different from person to person, right? For me, if I miss a day, I feel off.
Right.
Right. When you're first getting back into it, when you hit a day, when you go to the gym, you feel off. You're like, oh, that wiped me out. Like, that was a lot. Right. So doing that, over and over and over again, day in and day out at the beginning is too much, right?
Too much.
So we want to take, you want your process to be reflective of you and who you are and where you are. So yeah, hitting the gym once a week is a big accomplishment, and it's okay to rest for several days before you do it again. And instead of hammering yourself and forcing yourself to just do all the miserable stuff, just do a little of the miserable thing.
You're still being consistent if you're doing a little bit of something.
Yeah, right. So consistent might be once a week for you.
Yep.
At the beginning. That's fine. That's okay. Right. But we get so focused on the goal of like, I'm supposed to be going to the gym 6 days a week. Right. Right. And that's just too much. And, it's not just the gym, by the way. It's like anything. And it doesn't even with our activity, it doesn't have to be the gym, right? Maybe, choose a different view of what you're, of what it is you're trying to achieve. A lot of us think that going to the gym is the only way to be healthy or whatever. And no, like maybe you get into kayaking, maybe you get into hiking, whatever it might be. I don't know, falconry or something. I don't know, whatever gets you moving a little bit. And it's not just exercise and activity either. It's all kinds of other facets of our life. Maybe it's connecting with other people. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Well, so to bring it down, to put a fine point on it, if we could tell everyone who's listening one thing that would help them get towards consistency that they can do today, right now, I'm queuing you up a little bit. What do you think it would
be? It's that bite-sized piece, right? Find that one thing, and break it down as small as you can. I know we talk about this a lot, but that's
the way
really
to build consistency.
Secret. Yeah. It's like floss that one tooth at a time. Right. And, If it's activity, then just open your front door, right? We just talked about this in the habit reset,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's activity, just open the front door. If it's if you're trying to kick drinking sodas every day, just take a day where you drink half as many.
Yes.
Or, and see if you can be consistent with that. Hey, Wednesday is no soda day.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try that.
Yep.
Maybe it's half, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, pick something
Baby
almost
steps.
absurdly small. That is it. And then, learn to get the feeling of what it's like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to learn to love that.
Yeah. And if you have success with being consistent, we want to hear about that. And if you have questions about being consistent, we want to hear those too. We love answering questions. So drop a success in the chat if you've had some success with consistency and are proud of yourself. And if you have questions or are struggling with something, we want to hear about that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing because Cap is snoring again. You can probably hear it. I'm going to just bring his head up here. Hi, mister. Oh, I can't see him.
See him.
Sorry. Here's a nose. All right. You can go back to sleep. All righty. If you have questions about this, do reach out.
Yeah.
Ask us those questions. And keep doing what you guys do, being the community that we love. Keep lifting each other up. Keep raising your hands if you need help with something.
Yes.
And we love you. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.